close your eyes for a moment and try to remember last Tuesday. Not a highlight, not something unusual that happened, just a regular Tuesday. Most people draw a complete blank. Now try to remember the summer you were 9 years old. You might get 1 or 2 flashes, a smell, a specific afternoon, the feeling of a particular place. But the hundreds of days that made up that summer are simply gone. Here's the number that should disturb you. You will live approximately 30,000 days on this planet. Scientists now estimate that you will form a clear, retrievable memory of fewer than 200 of them. That is less than 1% of your entire life. The other 99% disappears as if it never happened. And the reason why is not what you think. Most people assume memory works like a camera. You experience something, the brain records it, and it sits there waiting to be played back. But that is not what memory is at all. Memory is not storage. Memory is selection. And your brain has very specific rules about what gets selected, rules that were written millions of years before you were born. The first rule is this: your brain only remembers what was different. Neuroscientists call this the von Restorff effect. When something stands out from the surrounding pattern, the hippocampus flags it for encoding. When something blends in, it passes through without leaving a trace. This is why you remember the day your flight was canceled, but not the 40 flights that landed on time. It is why you remember the argument, but not the 1,000 quiet evenings before it. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is that a peaceful, stable life, the kind every human being says they want, is almost entirely invisible to your own memory system. The second rule is more unsettling. Your brain does not just fail to record ordinary moments, it actively erases them to make room. The human brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons. Each one can hold a limited number of synaptic connections before the system becomes unstable. Sleep is when the brain runs its nightly compression process. During the deepest stages of sleep, a mechanism called synaptic homeostasis fires across the cortex. It systematically weakens the connections formed during the day, particularly the ones that were never reinforced by emotion, repetition, or novelty. By morning, somewhere between 60 and 80% of what you experienced the previous day has been structurally degraded, not forgotten in the way you misplace your keys, physically dismantled at the cellular level, gone. The third rule is the one that changes everything. The memories that survive are not the ones that were most important to you. They are the ones that were most emotionally charged, most physically intense, or most connected to your sense of identity and survival. Your brain is not keeping a diary of your life. It is keeping an emergency manual. Every strong memory you have is essentially a lesson your nervous system decided you might need to repeat or avoid. The warm Tuesday afternoon where nothing happened and you felt completely at peace does not register as a lesson, so it disappears. Psychologists call it the peak end rule. When you look back at any period of your life, your brain does not average out all the moments. It samples only the most intense peak, positive or negative, and the way the period ended. This is why a 2-week vacation with one terrible last day feels like a bad trip. You are not remembering your life. You are remembering a highlight reel your brain assembled from a handful of emotional extremes. And here is where it gets stranger. Research by psychologist Martin Conway showed that the single most remembered period of any human life is between the ages of 15 and 25. Scientists call this the reminiscence bump. It is not because more important things happen during those years. It is because everything is new. Your brain is encountering first experiences, first love, first independence, first sense of who you are, and novelty is the one reliable trigger that overrides the brain's filter. After 25, life becomes more stable, more routine, more predictable. And the more predictable your life becomes, the faster time appears to pass and the less of it you actually retain. This is not a coincidence. When every day is different, the brain encodes more. Time feels long and full. When every day is the same, the brain encodes almost nothing. Entire years compress into a feeling. Some neuroscientists now believe that subjective time, the time you actually experience and remember, is not measured in years. It is measured in the number of new memories you form. A life with few new experiences is not just a shorter life in memory. It may be, in a meaningful psychological sense, a shorter life entirely. So what does this mean for the 200 days you do keep? Research from the University of California found that the memories most likely to survive across an entire lifetime share 3 consistent features. They involve other people, they involve a strong physical sensation, and they involve a moment where the outcome was genuinely uncertain. Connection, sensation, stakes, not achievement, not comfort, not security. The brain does not remember the years you spent building safety. It remembers the moments you stepped outside of it. There's one final thing the research shows. The ordinary Tuesday, you cannot remember the one where nothing happened, where you were simply present and alive did not vanish because it was meaningless. It vanished because your brain decided it was too safe to bother keeping. The science suggests the life most worth living is precisely the kind of life your memory system is least equipped to hold on to. And maybe that is the point. Maybe the moments that disappear are not the ones that didn't matter. Maybe they are the ones that were so fully lived there was nothing left to review.